Has the government tried to dissuade you from your bilingual practices?
Yes, they have in a general sense, in that we received this letter from Marion Scrimgeour when she was the minister at the time, suggesting that languages, or directing that languages, should only be taught in the afternoon and that all the morning should concentrate on English. Well, we felt we were an independent school, not a government school, and therefore that dictate didn't apply to us, and it was contrary to our particular constitution anyhow. And so we've continued to teach language in the morning as appropriate, or where it fits in.
Where do you think the government has got this idea that bilingual education isn't effective?
Well, I think some of the results over the years in remote communities and in bilingual schools have been disappointing English, but I think it would be unfair to extrapolate just one factor like the bilingual and say that is the cause. There are many, many causes of poor standards of literacy. You have to get them all right before you can succeed, and it's simply not just one issue.
What do you think are more important factors?
Well, I can expand on many factors. It's almost like 7 deadly sins that you've got to overcome before you can be successful in literacy. The first thing you have to do is to get attendance up. You have to get the children to school. I think that's probably the most important thing. And attendance rates are very, very poor, and the government has really never addressed this issue. It has never forced attendance on schools. It's been reluctant to do so. And until you get a high attendance rate, the students are not going to achieve. So attendance is probably the most important factor, first of all. Then you have to cope with the social problems of the children's backgrounds and overcome things like the medical problems they have in coming to school and the housing problems they have. If you don't overcome those, you're giving them a bad start, they're disadvantaged when they come to school for learning. And associated with that, particularly the health reasons, we've had a big struggle at this school to get support for getting health and a nurse in the school to treat students and so on. But you have to get that done before the students learn. You have to overcome the hearing problems, the otitis media, because if the students are not hearing properly, they won't pick up the English literacy as easily at all. And it's critical to literacy to be able to hear properly what is being said, especially when their languages differ very much from English in some of the sounds and the arrangements. It's critical to have good hearing there. And we've had to do things about that in this school. We've had to build up. You've got to teach the children how to clean out their ears. You've got to overcome those ear infections. You've got to have proper acoustics in the classroom. You've got to have amplification systems and so on to do that. So hearing is one of those. The other thing we've had to do before you can get education going is get a nutrition program going in the school. We feed our children every day, and they have to, if they're not going to learn if they're hungry, they're not going to learn properly, and so that nutrition program is very important for us. And then you overcome problems like from their background. If there's a lot of alcohol and abuse and so on, then kids often come to school very tired. They're not rested. You've got to look at all of those issues too. So all of those are factors in building up literacy. The teacher factor is a huge factor. You have to have good teachers then who understand learning English as a second or an additional language, who understand the situation. And in remote communities, there's a constant turnover of teachers, and the teachers are a huge factor. Then the program that you have, I think, has a difference. Whether we've talked about Anne-Marie's or accelerated literacy or something, you do have to have good programs, and then you do have to have, we think the final step is probably good material to use in the classroom, and that's what we're working on at the moment.